Hi, my name is Margaret Swanson. I'm the Director of Customer Experience at Embr Labs, and I'm here to help you get started with the Wave 2 and the Wave 2 app. So when you're ready, grab your Wave, grab your phone, and let's go. So the Wave 2 comes in black or rose gold. I've got a rose gold one here. Let's just take a look at what's inside the box. Open this up. So here you've got your rose gold Wave. You can just lift this tray up, and we'll set this aside for now. Underneath, you've got a little folder that has a quick start guide that you can use as you follow along or save for later. And then there's some safety and warranty information for you here too. Beneath that, you've got a charger here. And then inside this compartment, there's a USB cable for the charger. So we're going to put all this aside. Now back to the Wave. Over here, this is a magnetic clasp, so all I have to do is lift that up to loosen the strap and take it off the tray. This is recyclable. And then there's a little plastic film you can just pull off here and throw that out. Now every Wave 2 comes standard with a stainless steel Milanese loop strap like this. It's fully adjustable so it fits most wrist sizes. You can pull the strap all the way through the lug if that makes it easier to get on and off. Now you also have the option to choose our nylon comfort band, which is really soft, really lightweight. It's great for sleep or casual settings. And we have a vegan leather band if you want something with a little bit more style. You can find those at embrlabs.com if you want to check them out. Underneath here, we have a ceramic plate. This is where you're going to feel warming or cooling against your skin. Flipping it over, this is our aluminum heat sink. And then up here, this looks like a button, but it's not a button. This is the antenna window, and that's what lets your Wave communicate with your phone and the app via Bluetooth. Over on the side here, we've got two buttons, dotted one and a blank one, and then two lights. We'll talk about those later. You can also find them in your quick start guide. The first time you use your Wave, we want to check to see if it's ready to go or if it needs to be charged. So to do that, you can just press the blank button once. And if you see a white light in the center, that means your Wave is awake and ready to use. If you don't see that white light, we need to charge the Wave. So you can go ahead and grab your charger and the USB cable, plug this in here, and then plug that into any wall plug or USB port. So you'll notice on the base here, there are these two gold pins, and then on your Wave, there are two gold dots on the bottom. So you want those to line up. And there are magnets in there too to help them click into place. So you can just place it on there and it'll snap where it's supposed to be. When it's charging, you'll see this green blinking light that lets you know the charge is in progress. That light will turn solid green when the charge is complete, which usually takes about 2 hours. So if you need to charge your Wave, now is a good time to pause the video and then come back when you're ready to go. The next thing you want to do is download the Embr Wave 2 app. You can find that in the App Store if you have an Apple device or the Play Store if you have an Android device. So just search for Embr Wave, E-M-B-R, and make sure you're downloading the Embr Wave 2 app. After you install the app, there'll be a few welcome screens to swipe through, and then you can choose how you want to sign into the app. You'll add a little bit of personal information to get your profile set up, and then you'll get to a screen that says temperature is personal. It looks like this. It's going to ask you whether you want to choose cooling or warming. Now, no matter what you pick here, you're always going to be able to do both in the app, but this is just to get you started with some recommendations the first time you use the app. So if you don't know what you want to use, or if you don't have a preference, you can just pick cooling to start. That's what I will do. On the next screen, it's asking how can the Wave help you? And you can choose from a couple of things like comfort, hot flashes, stress, and sleep. Again, this is something that we're just doing to get the app set up for the very first time that you use it. So you're not limited to anything that you choose here, and you can change your answers in the app settings later. So you can pick as many as you want, or you can select other and put your own reason in. I'm going to do stress and sleep. Then you can go ahead and create your account. So then the app is going to get things ready for you, and now you're ready to meet your Wave. So I'm going to tell you to wake up your Wave, look for the white light, but we already did that, so you're all good there. Next, we're going to set up your wave, and this is where we're going to introduce your wave and your phone so that they can talk to each other over Bluetooth. So like the screen says, we're going to hold down the dotted button for about 5 or 6 seconds until you see a glowing white light. When you see that, you can let go and then tap the button on the screen. Now your phone is going to look for your wave, and hopefully you should see a success screen in just a second. So now they're able to talk to each other and you're connected to the Wave 2 app. Now it's time to wear the wave. So you want to wear it on the inside of the wrist. It doesn't matter which one, you can choose whichever one is more comfortable for you. And you want to be sure that you're wearing it on the inside of your wrist, not the outside. So the inside of your wrist is much more sensitive to temperature compared to the outside. So you're going to feel the warming and cooling more strongly here, and your wave is going to be more effective. I recommend wearing it about 1 inch or so down from your hand, just so that when you bend and move, your hand isn't touching the device at all. That's because it's more comfortable that way to have that full range of motion without anything getting in the way. But also, when you're using your wave for cooling, the metal top here can sometimes get a little bit warm. That's because during cooling, your wave is pulling heat away from your body and it's coming out of this top here. It's also generating a tiny bit of heat in the battery as that's working to create those cool sensations on your skin. So if you're trying to cool down, you probably don't want to touch something that's warm, but as long as you've got it down a little bit farther away from your hand, you should be all good. If it does ever get too warm, then you can just take the wave off and let it rest for a minute or two, and you should be all set. Now, everyone is different, and those temperature-sensitive nerves aren't evenly distributed on your forearm here. So it may be that this spot is a little more sensitive compared to this spot, or maybe the most sensitive spot is right here. So it may take you a little bit of trial and error to find that sweet spot for you. Or maybe you'll find that one wrist is more sensitive than the other. Take your time, play around, and find out what feels best to you. On the next screen, you'll see a diagram that shows the 2 buttons on your wave. So we've got the dotted button and the blank button. The dotted button is what you use for cooling, or to make things cooler, and the blank button is what you use for warming, or to make things warmer. Either button can be used to turn your wave on or turn your wave off, and we'll show you that in a minute. On the next screen, you'll see the lights. So you've got a light over on the side and one in the center. The one on the side is a white LED, and you won't really see that too much. It's only going to be there when your wave is updating. So the main one you're going to be looking at is the light in the center. That light is going to tell you what your wave is doing, whether it's cooling, warming, or charging. You'll see some different colored lights there, and we'll talk about those as we go along. Now it's time to start feeling some waves. Depending on what you chose in the app setup, you'll be asked to try either cooling or warming first. I chose cooling, so we're doing cooling first. Like it says on the screen, we're going to press the dotted button twice. So once to wake it up, and then once to start cooling. And as soon as you do that, you'll notice the light in the center is turning blue, and you feel that cool immediately on your wrist. Now you might notice that the temperature you're feeling on your wrist is not steady, but it's coming and going in waves. So you feel a pulse of cool, and then it's off, then cool again, and then off. This is on purpose, and the rhythm of the waves is carefully engineered to optimize your comfort and relief. The reason that we warm or cool in waves is because the body responds more strongly to changes in temperature. So if we were keeping the temperature constant, your body would really quickly acclimate to the sensation and you would stop feeling it. That's kind of like if you've ever jumped into a swimming pool and it's freezing cold when you first get in, you've probably noticed that after a minute or two, you get used to it and you stop feeling cold at all. So that's nice if you're swimming, but it's not what we want when we want to stay warm or stay cool. By sending the temperature in waves, we're not allowing your body to get used to the cold and start ignoring it. Instead, these intermittent pulses on your wrist keep drawing your body's attention back to that sensation, and that keeps you feeling cool the whole time. Back to the app, if you tap over to the next screen, now it shows you how you can adjust the temperature level. So if you use the dotted button, you can make the temperature cooler, and if you press the blank button, you can make the temperature warmer. You can see the level go up and down on the slider in the app as you press those buttons. There are half steps in between the numbers, so you have a total of 9 increments that you can use to fine-tune your comfort. Once you've found something that feels good to you, go ahead and tap Continue to move on to the next step. On the next screen, normally your wave will stop automatically when a cooling or warming session is over, but if you want to stop it now, or if you ever need to manually stop, all you have to do is press and hold either button for about a second until the light goes off. After that, you can do the same thing with warming or cooling if you started with warming. You also have the option to say, I prefer not to feel that, and move on to the rest of the app. Now let's get to know the app. The app is what's going to let you really personalize your experience and go beyond the basic default cooling and warming on the device. It'll also let you get the latest updates and improvements onto your Wave too. We're always working on making the app better. So we're expanding and updating the thermal sensations and creating new features. So your app might look different from what you see in this video, but hopefully they should give you a good idea to get started. So let's take a look here. At the bottom, we have Feel, Track, Learn, and Settings. Track and Learn are coming soon, and they'll let you see your usage and learn from your patterns over time. So check back for those later. In Settings, you've got your firmware version at the top, and that's where you can see if there's an update available to download. You can add or remove devices. You probably won't need to do this after setup unless you're sharing a wave or if you have more than one wave. Then we have session presets. We'll talk about those in a little bit. We've got light options. This lets you control the brightness of the lights on your device or turn them off completely. Then you have My Profile, where you can update the information that you added at the beginning, including things like your needs and your temperature preferences. And then you can find links to support, privacy policy, terms of service. At the bottom, there's a button to log out, which again, you probably won't ever need to use unless you're sharing your phone with someone who also wants to use the Embr Wave app. Going back to Feel, this is our main dashboard. At the top here, you can see My Sessions. Since this is the first time that I'm using the app, there's nothing under Last Used, but you can see there are sessions listed under Recommended for you. So these sessions are recommended based on the information that you provided when we're doing the setup. So I've got Cold Drink, Fall Asleep Cooling, and All Night Cooling here. If I tap on one, how about Cold Drink? That starts cooling on my wave. You can see on the session screen at the top, it shows the name of the session and then the amount of time remaining. I can adjust the temperature level using the slider in the app or the buttons on my wave like we talked about before. If I minimize the screen, you can see that session is at the bottom there with the name and the time remaining. And now you can also see this cold drink is showing up in my last used sessions. Now, session is just the word that we use for a round of warming or cooling. Each session has a set length from 3 minutes up to 9 hours and a temperature level, both of which you can control. Sessions also have different rhythms or patterns to the waves that affect how they feel. That's because you may find yourself needing different types of warming or cooling for different situations. Sometimes you might want something that's a little bit more relaxing and slow-paced. Other times you might need something that's kind of intense and quicker. In the app, we've created a variety of different sessions for different needs based on years of thermal sensation testing and the feedback from tens of thousands of users. We've separated these into categories: comfort, hot flashes, stress, and sleep, which you can find at the bottom of the screen under Explore Sessions. You can tap on any one of these to see the sessions available in that section. Now again, this is something that we're constantly working on expanding upon and improving, so you may see more types of sessions by the time you're looking at the app. To give an example of how you might use different types of sessions, let's say I'm out and I have a hot flash coming on, or I know I'm going to be hot and uncomfortable for a few minutes. In that case, I might want an intense, quick blast of cooling to help keep that under control and keep me from getting too hot. So maybe I will go under hot flashes and choose a hot flash relief. I can select 3 minutes or 10 minutes and adjust the level there. On the other hand, if I were heading into a stressful meeting, I might want something a little bit more sustained and longer lasting to keep me feeling calm and collected for the entire time. So maybe I would go into stress and choose cold drink and set that for 60 minutes. Now, my favorite and some of our most popular sessions are in sleep, because who couldn't use a better night of sleep? Look here, we've got all night cooling or warming, and then we've got fall asleep cooling or warming. Fall asleep sessions are shorter. They last from 10 to 60 minutes, and they're designed to gradually slow down and lull your body into sleep. All-night sessions, on the other hand, are steady waves that run from 7 to 9 hours and keep you comfortable all night long. Both of these have been extremely well loved since we first introduced them for the original Wave, so no matter what you bought the Wave 2 for, I highly recommend you check them out. Also, remember those light options back in settings? If you're planning to use sleep sessions frequently, I recommend going with the discrete lights. When you have your lights set to discrete, they'll briefly illuminate when you turn the session on or when you adjust the temperature, but then they'll automatically turn themselves off in a second or so. So it's nice, you can kind of see what's happening when you turn your Wave on, but then the lights go off so they won't interrupt your sleep or any other situation where you'd rather not have lights going on the whole time. Now, these sessions are organized into categories to help you get started with recommendations as you get to know what you like best. That doesn't mean that you have to have a hot flash to use hot flash relief, or use hot flash relief when you do have a hot flash. It might turn out that you like a different type of cooling. It's all depending on what works best for you. The bottom line is, you're unique, and you may not like what other people like. So take your time and explore all the sessions to find out what feels best to you. As you explore, you can also personalize sessions. For any session, you can edit the temperature level and adjust the duration to tweak how the experience feels. And then you can save that as a new session with your own name. Let's try fall asleep cooling. So we'll select this. And now let's say I want to make this cooler and make it last longer. So I can go ahead and find it here. I'm going to tap on these three dots and then tap Edit. Then I can adjust the temperature using the slider or the buttons and adjust it to 4.5 and then set the time to 60 minutes. I'm going to tap Save Session. And then if I want to give it my own name, I'm going to tap these three dots again and then tap Rename. I will call this Cool Night. Continue. And now you can see I've got Cool Night under my last used sessions. Anytime I want to use this again, I can just tap on that. And then I've got my special Cool Night session going. One thing to note, generally speaking, shorter sessions are going to have a more rapid pace with pulses of cooling or warming closer together, which might make them feel a little bit more intense. Versus longer sessions are going to feel a little bit more stretched out, a little bit gentler, and have longer rest periods in between the pulses of cooling or warming. This isn't to say that one or the other is stronger, they just feel different, and you might find a slower pace is actually more effective for you than something that's more intense. You might wonder why you can't have rapid, intense cooling over a long period of time. Say, the cadence of the 3-minute hot flash relief over 60 minutes. One way to think of this is think of a short session as a sprint and a long session as a marathon. So if you're doing a sprint, you can go for a short amount of time at a very rapid and intense pace. Versus a marathon, you're going to be running for a lot longer, so you've got to slow down and pace yourself to make it to the end. That's the same with your Wave. For a short session, it can go very, very intense, but then for a longer session, it's going to have to slow down a little bit and pace itself. And that's where you're going to get those longer rest periods in between each pulse of cooling or warming. Now, if you need that intensity of a short session, what you can do is you can run one short session. If you find you still need relief after that, run that session again, either by tapping the session in the app or by using the buttons on your Wave if you've got that session as a preset. So what is a preset? Presets are a very cool new feature with Wave 2 that let you turn your 2 buttons into shortcuts to get to your favorite 2 sessions. Out of the box, if you press the dotted button, you'll start default cooling, and if you press the blank button, you'll start default warming. Those are both 10-minute sessions designed for general comfort. To use any other session, go to the app and tap on that card. If you create your own presets, then you can choose which 2 sessions you want those buttons to go to. So I could say I want the dotted button to be all night cooling, and maybe the blank button I want to be fireplace warming. And you don't have to stick to one cooling and one warming. They could both be cooling or they could both be warming. Let's say I want to take that cool night session that we saved earlier, because I think I'm probably going to use this most nights when I go to bed. And I want to assign that to my dotted button. To do that, I'll go into Settings, Session Presets, and then I'll select that dotted button. And then there it is, we'll tap on Cool Night. And now if you go back to the main screen, you can see the card there. It shows a symbol of a dotted button. So that shows you that that session is a preset for your dotted button. And then I also want to have some intense cooling available quickly during the day. So I'm going to choose that 3-minute hot flash relief and set that as my blank button. So I can do that the same way as before, going into settings and session presets, or I can tap on hot flash relief, find those 3 dots, then tap preset and choose blank button. Then when we go back here, you can see hot flash relief is showing the symbol for the blank button. Now if I'm out and about and I need some quick cooling, all I have to do is press that blank button to put me in hot flash relief. And if I still need more after that 3 minutes ends, I just push the blank button again and I'm right there. At night when I'm ready to go to bed, push the dotted button to start that cool night session. During a session, the buttons work the same as before, where the dotted button is going to make things cooler and the blank button makes things warmer. If I want to use warming, now that I've got both of these buttons set to cooling, I'll open up the app and tap on a warming session. And I can change these presets anytime, same way as we did before if I change my mind. If you do want to keep one cooling and one warming preset, just keep in mind that the dotted button has to be cooling and the blank button has to be warming. That's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. But those are presets. It's a very cool or very warm way to keep your favorites right at your fingertips. Now let's review the most important things we learned in this video. Be sure to wear your wave on the inside of your wrist, not the outside. The inside is going to be more sensitive to temperature. You can start cooling or warming using the buttons on your wave or by tapping a session in the app. When you're cooling or warming, you can always adjust the temperature up and down using the dotted button to make things cooler and the blank button to make things warmer. In the app, you can find different sessions designed for different situations or needs, but feel free to use whatever you like best. Any session can be edited and saved under a different name, and with presets, you can assign your 2 favorites to the dotted and blank buttons on your wave for quick access. And that's it. Now you know the basics of how to use the Wave 2. If you ever have questions or need help, you can visit our online help center at support.embryolabs.com or tap support in the app. One more thing I want to leave you with before we go is if you're using the Wave for the first time and you're not really feeling it, that's okay. I don't want you to worry. We've had so many people over the years tell us that it can take some time, a week or 2, to understand what they're feeling and to get used to the sensations and to know how the Wave is working for them. So take your time, feel free to play around and experiment and find out what works best for your body. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm going to wish you happy waving.